Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. This recording is meant for students who study on Wednesday and Thursday because we have a long weekend, so I don't want you to miss any piece of information. And you know that this PowerPoint is there on the blackboard, so you can access it. But I would like to explain it in order to give you full access to the hidden meanings here. So next week, we're going to take the Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner and the quiz at the end of the lecture. But for this week, because you're going to have lectures, those on Wednesday and Thursday. So this is meant for you. We're going to discuss preface to the Lyrical Ballads written by William Wordsworth and Samuel Taylor Coleridge. And then we're going to discuss Wordsworth's poem, I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud. As you see here, we start with the preface. The preface was written by Wordsworth and Coleridge. They wrote it in collaboration. They collaborated in writing it. After the publication of the Lyrical Ballads, Wordsworth saw that it was necessary to write a preface, an introduction, in order to to inform readers of his purpose in writing poems, such as lines written in Early Spring, Mad Mother, and We're Seven. He wants to clarify why he, first of all, why he chose these topics, and second, what is the lesson behind these topics. One main point of this preface is to relate Wordsworth's intention to depict the common man. So, in this preface, he wants to tell people that his aim is to depict the life of common people using the common language of man in his poetry. Another goal outlined in the preface is to show how feeling gives importance to the action and situation. So he stresses the role of feeling. A third goal of Wordsworth's poetry is to illustrate the way in which poetry is a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. This is the definition of poetry by Wordsworth, by the way. He defined poetry as spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. So he had three aims behind writing this preface. First, to tell his readers that he wanted to depict and portray the life of the common people using common language. Number two, he wanted to stress the importance of feelings. Number three, he wants to illustrate the way poetry functions as spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. The primary object which Wordsworth proposed to propagate through the poems was to select incidents and situations from the common life. So first of all, he focused on incidents derived from common life. The great innovation was to be in the language. The language is not the kind of traditional classical language that some people cannot understand, or let's say most of the people, those common people cannot understand. No, he chose to write in common language that all people can understand. The poetic diction of the 18th century, so to substitute the selection of the language really used by man. The advertisement, part of the preface, included in the 1798 edition, shows Wordsworth's concern about the language of poetry. So what kind of language he used in his poetry will tell us. Wordsworth says that the poems in the volume are experiments, since his chief aim is to see if the conversational language in use among the middle and lower classes of society can be employed fruitfully to write poems. So now it's a kind of experiment. He wanted to, to see if common language can be, a useful tool in conveying his messages through poems or not. Again, we stress the definition of poetry by Wordsworth. Wordsworth's conception of poetry, passion, and reflection. Wordsworth propounded his views on poetry, its nature and functions, and the qualifications of a true poet in his preface. So far as the nature of poetry is concerned, Wordsworth is of the opinion that poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. So he cannot say that, okay, I'm going to write poetry. I said now for 1 hour and I'll write 2 or 3 poems. No, it's not like that. Wordsworth is of the opinion that poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. Poetry has its origin in the internal feelings of the poet. It is a matter of passion, mood, and temperament. Poetry cannot be produced by strictly adhering to the rules laid down by the classicists. So now he differed from classicists. We don't have rules here. We, depend on the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. Okay, it's not a preset. It must flow out naturally and smoothly from the soul of the poet. But it must be noted that good poetry, according to Wordsworth, is never an immediate expression of such powerful emotions. So don't say that, okay, whenever, I have this kind of state of powerful feeling, I can write poetry. No, it's not that. Wordsworth didn't mean that the poem is the production of the immediate spontaneous overflow. No, the poem is the production of this spontaneous overflow in recollection. A good poet must ponder over them long and deeply. In the words of Wordsworth, poetry has its origin in emotions recollected in tranquility. So, with Wordsworth, it goes like this. First, you have this kind of spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. Then you think and think about these feelings, and that after a while, you recollect. You recollect these feelings, and then you write about them while you are sitting in nature in a state of tranquility. You're sitting quietly, enjoying peace of mind. Then you recollect memories of the spontaneous overflow the spontaneous overflow of feelings. Okay. The poem known as Daffodils or I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud. One, of the best poems that shows the relationship of man to nature. It shows the pantheistic talked about before, that man can communicate with God through nature because there is what we call the animus mundi, there in nature, and it's a kind of channel of communication between man, nature, God. So look here and see how man mingled with nature in this poem. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze, continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. Was the waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet couldn't but be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. For oft, when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon the inward eye, which is the blessed solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. I think that it is easily now to receive the definition of poetry from these lines. With definition, I mean, here you see that good poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings collected in tranquility. If you look here at the last stanza, for oft when on my couch I lie, peacefully, lying in tranquility, in vacant or in pensive mood, whether I'm thinking or I'm just lying there, in tranquility, nothing in my mind, they flash upon the inward eye. These those memories flash upon the inward eye there. Here collected memories of powerful feelings, which is the bliss of solitude. So romantics love solitude in nature, of course. And then my heart with pleasure fills. Now that it's complete, so he feels happy. and dances with the daffodils. So first of all, in the first stanza, if you see here, he mingled with nature. And there are a lot of examples showing that he mingled with nature. I wandered lonely as a cloud. The simile here shows how he likens himself to a cloud, part of nature. And the simile is there in the second line. It's an extended simile that floats on high over vales and hills. When all at once I saw a crowd. Now as a cloud, he saw a crowd. So it's a personification. A host, thousands of golden daffodils beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Now the daffodils are personified as dancers. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way. Another simile, daffodils are linked to stars, and they are, in thousands and millions because they are in the Milky Way. They stretch in never-ending line along the margin of a bay, and thousands saw at a glance, tossing their heads. It's an extended personification. It started, in the first line of the second stanza in a sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced. Another personification showing how nature interacts with parts of it. The waves interacted with the dancing of the daffodils, so they danced it. But the daffodils outdid the sparkling waves in happiness. A poet could not be but happy in such a jocund company. It's a good company now. I gazed and gazed, but little thought, what wealth the show to me had brought? This is the good question Wordsworth wants us all to answer for ourselves. What is the worth? Which kind of, a scene, recollecting memories while you are sitting in solitude in nature, brought you, can bring to you a lot. Now you can have positive energy, you can have peace of mind, you can think, logically, and your logical thinking is based on what? On your emotional state now. And here we can bring Kant into the scene to tell something about that. We can bring Hume to tell something about that. Okay, about the way of thinking and the experiment, and Descartes may show in in this picture. Okay, he may say, no, we think rationally, and everything can be calculated by reason only. But of course, Descartes will be excluded from this company, as you know. This is, 4-6 line stanzas of this poem, which follow a quatrain couplet rhyme. We have here 4 stanzas, and each stanza is composed of 6 lines. Okay, it follows a quatrain couplet. So we have quatrain and couplet in each stanza, rhyming A, B, A, B, C, C. It's easy to make out this. I wandered lonely as a cloud. That sound A. Floats on high over vales and hills. Another sound B. When all at once I saw a crowd. A, B, A. A host of golden daffodils. We attended to the Z sound, so it's B, A, B, A, B. Beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. So this is the couplet, the rhyme, a rhymed couplet. The last 2 lines in each stanza rhyme together. So it goes A, B, C, C, because it is repeated. Each line is metered in iambic tetrameter. We talked about, meters last lecture and how you can count and stress it. So it is repeated here 4 times. Look here, I wandered lonely as a cloud. So we have unstressed stress. This is one, one mention of this food. So we have here I am repeated 4 times. That's we call it iambic pentameter. So you can return to the PowerPoint where we explained how to analyze poetry. The last 3 stanzas talk about meter and about the repetition of feet in each line. The speaker says that wandering like a cloud floating above hills and valleys, he encountered a field of daffodils beside the lake. The dancing, fluttering flowers stretched endlessly along the shore, and though the waves of the lake danced beside the flowers, the daffodils outdid the water in glee. So the daffodils for him is the focus, and it is the source of happiness. The speaker says that a poet couldn't help but be happy in such a joyful company of flowers. He says that he stared and stared, gazed and gazed, but didn't realize what wealth the scene would bring, him. But after he, you know, had his, moments of rest, he found out that being in nature, remembering good things, okay, is all he could get from the scene. For now, whenever he feels vacant or pensive, the memory flashes upon the inward eye. That is the bliss of solitude, and his heart fills with pleasure and dances with the daffodils. This simple poem, one of the loveliest and most famous in Wordsworth's canon, revisits the familiar subject of nature and memory. Nature and memory, relationship of man, nature and God, okay? The pantheistic aspect. And here you see the flora used by Romanticism. We have the flowers personified as persons. So man is so attached to nature. The time with a particularly symbolist power, musical eloquence. The plot is extremely simple, depicting the poet's wandering and his discovery of a field of daffodils by a lake, the memory of which pleases him and comforts him when he is lonely, bored, or restless. The characterization of the sudden occurrence of a memory, the daffodils flash upon the inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude, is psychologically acute, but the poem's main brilliance lies in the reverse personification of its early stanzas. So, figures of speech here play an important role in expressing the feelings of Wordsworth. This is very important, and refer to the PowerPoint that we explained last week. The speaker is metaphorically compared to a natural object, a cloud. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high, and the daffodils are continually personified as human beings, dancing and tossing their heads in a crowd, a host, and the waves, okay, are personified in this poem. This technique implies an inherent unity between man and nature, making it one of Wordsworth's most basic and effective methods for nestling in the reader the feeling that the poet so often describes himself as experiencing. Now we want to summarize what we have discussed here in this lecture. First of all, we talked about preface to the Lyrical Ballads, and we explained Wordsworth's own definition of poetry and the function of poetry for him. First, he stressed the importance of choosing incidents from common people's life. Second, he used common language in order to make his poems accessible by all people, especially the common people. Third, poetry for him is the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings recollected in tranquility. So this is the poetry who wanted his people or his readers to read and enjoy. We will move to discuss I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud, and the first thing I want you to know about this poem is it's an example of the good relationship between man, nature, and God, and it shows you how romantic poets employed the pantheistic aspect. And here, when we come to discuss the flora and fauna in romantic poetry, we studied, first of all, we studied William Blake, and in his poem, The Tiger, we saw nothing but, fauna. We saw this kind of fierce animal, the tiger. But here we, move to showing you the flora in nature, or plants used in this poem, such as the daffodils. So romantic poets used flora and fauna, and we're going to discuss this more when we talk about the rhyme of the ancient mariner in the fourth week, discussing the creatures the mariner saw in this kind of ordeal, and the albatross as an example, an icon of the uncanny, an icon of good luck, and an icon of bad luck that was anchored on the mariner and his crew. So for now, please watch this video and try to go step by step and try to reach this outcome at the end of the lecture. So by the end of this lecture, you should have known the aims of the preface, or the aims behind writing the preface of Lyrical Ballads. By the end of this lecture, you should figure out the figures of speech in I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud. You should explain, or you should write about this poem easily. You should figure out Bantistic aspect here. You should figure out the flora in this poem as part of romantic poetry. So here, again, and once more, we talked about the preface to the Lyrical Ballads, written in collaboration. It was written by Wordsworth and Coleridge. The Lyrical Ballads, sorry, written by Wordsworth and Coleridge, and Wordsworth wrote the preface in order to explain more to his people what he meant by poetry, and what is his definition of poetry, and the theory of poetry he followed. And of course, it is easy to understand now that he focused on incidents from every day life, from the life of the common people. I mean, he focused on using the common language in order to make his poems accessible by all people, especially the common people. Third, he wanted to let his readers know that by poetry, he meant the spontaneous overflow of proper feelings collected in tranquility. And then we took an example, that is the daffodils. I wandered lonely as a cloud. And in this poem, we explained the Bantistic aspect, the flora aspect. We explained the figures of speech that make the poem more expressive. And I hope that you enjoyed this lecture. And inshallah, I'll meet you in week 4, face-to-face, inshallah, to discuss the rhyme of the ancient mariner. And please prepare for the quiz. Prepare for the quiz. Okay, you have to prepare 5 short notes. Study lecture 1 and 2 only, and study this lecture in your long weekend in order to cover this lecture that is mentioned in the course plan is in the 3rd week. So please study it and come preparing yourself with just read the PowerPoint on the rhyme of the ancient mariner in order to make it easy for yourself to understand what we're going to discuss next week, and prepare for the quiz. Enjoy your long weekend. See you inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.